Recording, Cherise.
Gotcha. Well, good evening, everyone. It's lovely to be here. I am in Ohio, so I'm hitting my uh 13th hour of my work day. So but I told Renita not to worry about the time difference. I'm happy for the invitation and to come and speak with you lovely people. Um, I as much as I like talking about myself, sometimes I think for presentations, I always get kind of shy about it. But what I hope to do is just tell you a little bit about, my career in the conflict resolution field, and my hope would be to support you in your journey. I understand that you all are uh, on your own journeys in the conflict resolution field, and I'm excited to hear about that. And I certainly would love will share some of my journey, but also some of my current work, both as a community mediator, but also as a coach. I know Renita said there was interest in coaching, and so I certainly love to share a little bit about my journey, um, and and get to know you, and open up space for questions and conversation. And I think I've got a little bit of time to take you through a few uh, exercises that I'd like to share with you in my work as a various different ways I phrase what I do. For this context, I really like the idea of a personal peace coach. In another facet, I uh, work with people who are in conflict or have conflict. And so conflict coaching also is one way that I practice my coaching.
Mhm.
And then another way that I coach in terms of a niche within coaching is leadership development,
Mhm.
particularly for emerging leaders and new leaders. And so, one of the things that uh, when we come from the world of conflict resolution, and we've spent time doing that work over a period of years, is that in many ways, we're qualified to support people in their leadership development journey, particularly in the areas of communication and in emotional intelligence. And so, so who I am is a mixture of things. But before I get into that a little bit more, I would love to know who's here. And I saw the beautiful flyer that was made for the session tonight, and so I would love if you would just you know use a little bit of the time I have with you just to introduce yourself and give me a sense of who you are, what you're doing in the field of conflict resolution, whether that be just a beginning graduate student studying or a practitioner. Give me a sense of who's here. And then just one thing that really interests you about my presentation, as much as you understand about it in terms of coaching or personal peace. So I'm gonna look at my screen, and Sydney, if you don't mind, sorry to put you on the spot, but we could start with Sydney, and I'll go through the space here.
No, I don't mind at all. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited for this. I just finished my first semester at Cal State Dominguez Hills. I've been actively taking part in the Peace and Education group with Professor Valerie and Julie. And what really interests me today is, well, I was on a call with Julie when we were discussing some peace and education work, and she described the work you did. And I had never heard of anyone doing this exact thing. There's something I mean, kind of similar in New Orleans. We have independent police monitors who like come on the scene when there's any, signs of force or anything like that, but it's not mediators coming on. So I thought that was an interesting difference, and I really wanted to hear more about it.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm excited about it.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. And as Anna Marie looks like.
Hi, thank you so much for speaking tonight too. I'm kind of a newbie and a rookie. I'm on my last semester in the mediation program at Dominguez Hills. I'm on my 27th year of teaching high school shop. I'm ready for something that's a little bit less demeaning, but I'm looking forward to finding ways to not be so reactive. I've been apparently the emotional one in my family, and with mediation, I want to be able to be a little bit more level-headed. And so that's what I'm hoping to get out of everything and take some of your tips tonight.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. And Susan. And you're muted, Susan, so.
I know, I was muted.
There you go.
Recording in progress. Thank you so much. Hold on one second. Okay.
Space Odyssey there.
I know, because I was
Switching devices.
Yeah.
And while I want to give her a minute there. While she's connecting, let's is it Otika? I'm sorry, I'm not, if I'm mispronouncing that.
That's perfect. You did it just right.
Wonderful.
Otika Macklin. So nice to meet you, Cherise. I appreciate being invited this evening. I'm a social worker. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I've been in the field since the 90s, and I work with veterans. I've worked in the county and in nonprofit with battered women. I worked all around, but currently I'm with veterans, and I have been for the past few years. So what I like to get from this training, and I'm really interested in networking. So far, my network is small. However, it's very rich, and thanks to Professor V. And I'm looking to network and just build my skill set in facilitations, mediation, and to especially be able to transfer that over to my current work, and social work, and see where that might take me. I've been in direct patient care for so many years. I'm really interested in finding out what the world of mediation might look like, in my agency. In addition to that, I'm very much interested in PI's mission to build a hospital in Compton. I come from South LA, right next to Watts, which is right next to Compton. So clearly my community is the same community as Compton. So I would like to see, equity in healthcare, in my community. And I really, really love community building. I've done a lot of that in my sorority, and that's one of my passions: networking, community building, that kind of thing. And I'm a sponge, and I just want to soak up whatever it is you have to teach.
Wonderful, wonderful. Love that.
Thank you.
And Susan, you got you connected back here.
I'm connected back. Thank you so much, Cherise, for coming. I'm looking forward to this. So I am in second year NCRP program at Dominguez, and I literally am taking as much training from a lot of different areas as I can. My focus is on churches, conflict, that cause dissolution of churches and those type of things. I have been doing a lot because of Professor Valerie. I've been doing more community focused mediation and facilitation, which actually kind of adds into the church. So my three main areas are churches, community, and schools, because I'm a retired dean.
Wonderful. And as you thought about the presentation tonight, training tonight, conversation, I'd like to say, and sharing, what one thing would you, were you excited about or hopeful to get out of?
I perspective is always interesting to me.
Okay.
So what, I know what leads me in certain directions. I am interested in your perspective of this whole peace building thing that we're all trying to do, and how how you found your sweet spot, how you found that area, that all the different things that you do, I'm sure they intersect at some point.
Yeah, I love that, the sweet spot. How did I find my sweet spot? I got to write that down. Thank you, Susan. And Julie.
I'm Julie. So I am the graduate that hung around. I graduated, I guess, almost 2 years ago. But we started this peace and education program, and I became the program director. And I just been absorbing all the different parts of community mediation and where it fits, which is everywhere. So I'm always with Susan, always interested in different perspectives. I'm especially interested in what you have to share, because I feel like the topics that we are starting to get into are getting heavier and heavier. And I think, always looking for new ways to release, I guess, some of the stuff that we carry after dialogues. We just recently did one on racism and gun violence, where we had a couple people that had actually been personally impacted. So I think those tools are great things to share with our group. So
Wonderful. And Renita, save you for last. Get on in there and your hope takeaways.
Oh gosh. Well, you answered one. I wanted to learn about your program, your mobile program. I think that's amazing, having peacekeepers on the ground and responding to communities. It's like, it reminds me of the mobile response teams for mental health. And I just think it's amazing that you guys were able to pull that off. But as far as tonight, the content, I would say, I'm just looking forward to hearing about the work you do as a peace coach, because I know that's a little bit different than the work I've done as a conflict coach or the work I've done as a leadership coach. And I don't know how I did it, but I'm probably about 2 months shy of getting my mindfulness coaching certification. So I'll have that. So I was like, what does this peace coach stuff look like? Maybe that'll be the next road I travel.
Awesome. Well, wonderful. Thank you all for sharing that. It's so lovely to meet you and be in community with people who are on this journey of doing this work. And I think this work is really about, how do we help people have the best conversations they can have, and helping people and really believing in people's ability to speak for themselves, no matter what they sound like and how it comes out. And particularly when we are in conflict and dealing with things that are important and meaningful to us. The work that we can provide in all the ways that you are already providing, I think is just some of the most important work. So I certainly hope to give you a sense of the work that I'm doing. One thing that I'd like to talk about just really briefly is I split myself into two. There's my day job work, and my day job is in a community mediation center in Dayton, Ohio. And I've been with this community mediation center since 1999. So next year will be my 24th year. Like all of you, I believe, I did a master's in conflict resolution from Antioch University McGregor. At the time, it's Antioch University Midwest now. So I actually was looking for a way to bring together my interest in feminist theory, human rights, civil rights, community activism. And I didn't know what that job was. Like many people who go to college and graduate, at least this is how it used to be in my generation, many people don't use their undergrad degree. And so whenever I've been a graduate advisor for folks thinking about graduate school, I've always urged people to really pick something that they're passionate about and they want to do. And so when I started my graduate program, I had no idea what conflict resolution was. I was just looking for a livable wage, as I like to tell people. And ENIAC had a program on intercultural relations. And I didn't know what I could do with that, but it certainly brought together my love of people and helping people figure out ways to live together across difference, and bringing all my cares and concerns around community and community building, really. And so there was the conflict resolution program, and I picked the conflict resolution program because I heard my mom go, "So what kind of job are you going to do with intercultural relations?" So I picked the conflict resolution degree. I didn't know anything about conflict resolution. And so at that time in 1996, mediation was, when we think about conflict resolution field, it's really mediation, facilitation, restorative justice. So long story short, I jumped into the field and I have found the big sweet spot is conflict resolution. And so where I've landed, however, is in a very interesting place. And so what I'd like to do is take you through a presentation that I present to folks on personal peace. And so I think it's a good place to start to give you a sense of what I mean by personal peace. And then I hope to kind of weave in kind of all the things that you all are talking about. How do we make this work meaningful? How do we take the things that we're passionate about and care about and intersect that with the conflict resolution, peace education, negotiation, all of those things that make up the field. And so I'm going to switch on to PowerPoint, and I apologize. I'd much rather be in the same room with you, but since I'm a bit far away from you, we'll have to deal with the Zoom world here. So so one part of me in my day job is at the Dayton Mediation Center. And so then the other part of me is my own coaching business and training business. And so I'm really here in both those capacities, but mostly through my business, because I want to also show you some perspectives and possibilities. And so my business is inner line design, and part of what I do in that business is coaching, training, and consulting. And so I specialize in leadership development and mental fitness coaching through my business. And I also mix in a little bit of conflict coaching as well. So this really is about, personal peace is really about you as an individual. And so one of the things that I really want to bring to the world is you don't have to have a graduate degree in conflict resolution, right? We need more of us though, right? But everybody can be a peacemaker. Mm-hmm. And I really love Thich Nhat Hanh, a Vietnamese Buddhist. I love this quote of his, and I followed his work since I first read his book, Love in Action. That title of that really spoke to me. But my actions are my only true belongings. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. My actions are the ground on which I stand. And so this is a really powerful quote, because I think for those of us who do this work, we give out to everybody, but we really need to turn inward to ourselves and make sure that we are walking the talk of our work. And so in my 20, goodness, I think it's 26 years now, 26 or 27, I've lost track in my career in conflict resolution. It's become ever more clear that I really want to embody the work that I'm doing out in the world. And so when I had this photograph taken, my gratitude on the heart, the gratitude doesn't show up really well. But I'm really grateful to have been able to do this kind of work for so long, and to be of service not only to my community, but really to be of service to myself. And so I'm really grateful for that. So I want to transition a little bit, and I really want to turn the focus on you. And so I really want you to just to take a moment and answer this question for yourself internally. How are you doing right now? We've been through a lot. You may have had a busy day. We're going on the third year of going through a pandemic and all the things in the world that are happening. How are you doing? And what I'd love for you to do on a scale of 1 to 10, answer that question by picking a number. Now, I'm being a little bit silly in the middle, but 1 is just beyond terrible. 5 is things could be worser, right? It's really bad when it's worser. So I often say worser. And then 10 is a heaven on earth. So just take a moment to take a deep breath, and just in general, how are you doing? And get your number. And if you can write down your number on your piece of paper if you have it, and really just think a little bit about what contributes to that number. So if you're a 6, you probably got some good stuff going on. May have not been able to eat lunch today, but just kind of think about what that number really means for you. So this is another quote that really speaks to me. I'm sure probably some of you may have seen this quote from Thomas Merton, a Catholic monk. He's another spiritual person that kind of speaks to me as well. But the rush and the pressure of modern life are a form, perhaps the most common form of contemporary violence. To allow oneself to be carried away by a multitude of conflict concerns, to surrender to too many demands, to commit to too many projects, to want to help everyone and everything, is itself to succumb to violence, to the violence of our time. Frenzy destroys our inner capacity for peace. It destroys the fruitlessness of our work, because it kills the root of inner wisdom, which makes work fruitful. So this process begins with you. Personal peace begins with you. Okay. So you've got your number. we know that this work begins with us. And so if you're comfortable, I'd like to take you through a closed eye experience. You can go off your screen if you feel more comfortable. And I'm going to take you through a really short guided exercise. And so if you want to turn off your screen, you're more than welcome to do that. And I'll signal back on, or you can just sit and close your eyes or close them softly. Okay. So just take a few deep breaths. And if you're sitting in a chair, just sit with your spine straight and your feet on the ground, and just relax into your chair, into whatever you're sitting on, and just be here now. And just take a few breaths, inhales, and release in your own pace and in your own way. And begin to just scan through your body and notice if there's any tightness or stress, or just be in your body and get a sense of what's going on. And taking whichever hand feels comfortable and placing it on your belly. And just pay attention to the rise and fall of your stomach. And just be present with that. And if your mind starts to wander and you start thinking thoughts, just return to the sensation of your belly rising and falling. And turning to the sense of sound, just listen to the sounds in the room that you're in. Noticing the farthest sound that you can hear. It's okay if your mind starts to wander and you start thinking thoughts. Just try to hear the farthest sound that you can hear. Now switch your sense of sound to the closest sound that you can hear. And as we prepare to end our session, just take a few deep breaths. Whatever way feels comfortable for you. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Okay. So now returning back to my scale of 1 to 10, where would you put how you're doing right now? And just jot that down. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing for a moment. So who would like to just jump in? What was that like? You can, two things I'm after. One, you can make a comment about what that was like for you to do that brief exercise. So let's start there. So how was that? Was it hard? Was it challenging? Was it relaxing?
Are
What
we
did you-
writing it in there, or are we?
No. Let's talk. I'm gonna stop sharing here and get everybody on screen. So let's just talk a little bit about how that was for you. What was that like to do that exercise? What did you notice? Was it just, how was that exercise for you?
Well, I can tell you, Cherise, for me, it's probably the stillest I've been in I don't know how long.
Ah, okay.
And it felt good just to be still, but it was very relaxing, even for those few minutes.
Mhm. Thank
I
you.
mean, honestly, I wanted to go to sleep. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh, okay, I could go to sleep right here. Oh, but I'll be on camera. Nope, let me open my eyes.
We hear this people off screen, which I would be very happy if that would have happened. So thank you, Renita. What about others? What was that like? What did you know? I mean, what's the reaction to that? Similar to what Renita's sharing. What was that like for you? Just jump on in, don't be shy.
I'll go ahead,
Thought I was. Is that you, Julie? You want to go?
No, go ahead.
I thought I was focused on entering this space and having to stop and breathe. I realized that I was not like Renata. It's kind of like it's the first time of stillness I know for sure today, because I've been managing a lot of things today, that I felt just not thinking about all the different things that I'm attempting to manage and judging how well I'm doing.
Yes. Thank you. What about others?
I feel like a broken record here, but it took me a minute to slow down my brain, because my brain, I think, works really fast most of the time. So it was uncomfortable for me at first. I always have trouble with meditation anyway, getting into that space. And once I did, I was super relaxed until two boys came running downstairs right about the time you said, concentrate on the noise closest to you, and they're standing like right here.
So that was easy.
Brought me back. I've decided I need to find some time to do that when no one is here.
Wonderful. And I'm going to ask all of you to answer, because this is central to personal peace. So I'll hopefully tie it together really well. And these some themes are coming out. So thank you, Julie, Susan, and Renita. What about you, Otika, or Sydney, or Anna Marie? How was that for you?
Oh, I can go real quick. This past year, I've really tried to focus on setting time aside to meditate and being, mindful all the time. But, I go through periods where I'm really good at it and really good at carving that time. And then right now I'm in a period where I haven't done it in a long time. So taking this time right now, when I centered myself again, it reminded me like, oh, this is what I've been missing. Every time I do it again, I'm like, oh, it reminds me like, you should be doing this every day. Like, why did you stop? And so it was kind of that good reminder, get me back in the cycle. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
It's going to take more sessions for me to learn to, relax and just kind of block everything out. I'm naturally anxious. So even trying to practice that exercise makes me anxious. I'm like, wait a minute, and I'm like trying to smooth it out my brow because I'm all worked up from the day and just period. So, I know that that's a challenge that I have. So it's going to take practice.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing, being willing to share that. I appreciate that.
I'm similar to Julie. It's like, as soon as I'm trying to focus on something, it's the kids, the dogs, the cats, the whatever. And you're just like, I can't even have 2 minutes to myself. And it's like, I can go into the bathroom. I can go sit in the car, and it's like, they'll find me there too. So it's tough. It's tough to shut things down. And I think, like what Sydney said, is I think I need to find space to make it a daily me time.
Gotcha. So did your number change at all?
I went up a little bit.
Okay. So got a couple of head shakes. Anybody's numbers stay the same or get worse? Stay the same?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mine went down.
Yours went down, and I think you probably talked to a little bit of why and some awareness. I'm gonna go back to my screen here. So let's talk a little bit about kind of the number, and this is I think it's a way to kind of gauge kind of where you're at with things. But let me get back on my screen here. So the question of if you were 5 and below and stayed at that number, the question is, what would help your score move higher? And if you were 6 and above, the question becomes, what's helping you stay healthy and vibrant? So I really want you to kind of think about the impact of your score, and especially if it went up just a little bit. That was maybe 3 minutes, maybe. So here's the thing. I want you to know that you don't have to get on the cushion. You don't have to carve out time. It's nice if you can do that, but all of you have said this is for the most part, I know all of you are busy, and several of you said this is the first time I've been able to be still, right? But what I've just shown you is that you were still for 3 minutes or less, and the impact. So for the folks that your number actually went up a little bit, I'm just asking you how you're doing, and you're like, I'm a 5, right? And 3 minutes later, ooh, I'm a 6, right? Hey. And so part of personal peace is doing things that help us get grounded. So what I did with you, probably not a mystery. You were still, I had you be present, and then I had you focus in on your physical sensations and your senses. So when I had you take a couple of deep breaths, and we all have our kind of own rhythm and way of doing deep breaths and just taking in breaths. You'd be surprised at how much we hold our breath, right? Take some deep breaths. Just slow your roll and take some deep breaths. So you did a little bit of that. I asked you to put your hand on your stomach, and you were focused on the rise and fall of your belly. Totally focused on your body and your sensation. And as you caught yourself thinking thoughts, right? We can't stop our brain, so we should stop trying to stop our brain. But what we can do is refocus when we catch ourselves going, oh, am I doing this right? Oh, goodness, I'm getting more anxious. Oh, my boys are coming down. We can go back to focusing on our physical senses and sensations. And then I engaged one of your physical senses, which was the sense of sound. It's one of my favorites. Listening to the farthest sound, listening to the closest sound, just listening. And when you caught yourself thinking thoughts, I brought you back to the sense of sound. So that's what you did for 3 minutes, and you turned inward and you focused, you took yourself out of your mental thinking and you came down into your body. That will save you every single time. So if you take nothing away from my presentation on how to create more personal peace, it's do this: engage your physical senses. So the other ways that you can engage your physical senses are the sensation of touch. So take your thumb and your index finger and just rub them like that and try to feel the ridges of your fingertips. And when you start thinking, I can't feel my ridge of the fingertip, and gosh, this feels funny, and stop your thinking and go back to a focus on feeling the ridges, feeling what it feels like to rub your fingers. Just do that for 10 seconds minimum. The other thing that you can do is you can take your one hand and you can take the other and just try to feel the sensations of your fingertips and rub them down and feel the sensation of that. Or touch an object. Just feel the temperature or the texture, and you're engaging the sensation of touch. And you put all of your attention on the sensation of touch. And when you catch yourself thinking thoughts, you come back to the sensation of touch. And you can do this with all of your senses, the smell, with sight, when you're feeling stressed and you haven't eaten for the day. Just look around your space that you're in and just notice colors and textures. And when you feel yourself thinking thoughts, just go back to noticing what's in the room. When we engage our physical senses, we take our thinking brain offline and we bring ourselves into our bodies where we can be grounded and our wisdom is. Now, certainly for some of us, that can be awkward or uncomfortable and cause more anxiety. However, if we think about it as a practice of, I'm just getting grounded in my body so I can feel safe and strong and focused, and just keep practicing, being present in your body, it can help us tap back into our strength, our focus, our groundedness. So I'm going to stop there and just check in with you. Thoughts, reactions, make sense? It seemed like, wow, I could really, if I can't catch my breath in the day, all I got to do is go 2 minutes in the corner and focus on the sensations of my hands or an object. I have this little object. I love rocks. This one says imagine, and just take my fingertips and feel. It's as simple as that.
Can you speak to this?
Yes. Yes. So this our prefrontal cortex, our thinking brain.
So I'm sorry, you were speaking.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
No, I was going to ask about tapping.
No, that was more of, I mean, there is something called tapping. This was just more of get out of here. So it's disconnected.
Okay.
It was just more touching my forehead. Yes.
Can you speak to tapping though as a practice for
tapping's not in my realm of experience, but what I think tapping is doing is it's doing a little bit of element of this, is it's tapping into the physical body and working with the energy and working with releasing of negative energy, and it's grounding. Now that's my rough estimate. I think its value though is getting us grounded in our body. And for some of us, our bodies have not been safe for us, but that's where, you know, other support to work through that trauma can be really helpful. I think on the level of what I'm sharing with you today is some simple things that we can do to get grounded and come back to the present, because our minds can tend to spin off into chaos and craziness. And one way we create grounding for peace is to stop and engage with our senses so that we can kind of have a brief reset. So that's the whole idea. And that really is to help us get back in touch with our mental thoughts and what we're thinking, because our thoughts really do kind of shape our energy, our behavior, and our actions. So if you take nothing away again from that exercise, personal peace is just as simple as creating the time. And I think, was it you, Sydney, who was saying, you know, I gotta get back and I gotta go get my mat out and I gotta do that. Sure, do all those things, but also recognize that in 3 minutes, you can get grounded. Many of you said you felt relaxed, and hopefully you felt more clear-headed, like you could think clearer, that you had a second wind. And when I'm working with people in conflict or who are dealing with stress, we have to support them to bring voice to what's hard so that they can begin to hear their own wisdom and get grounded in a level of clarity. And so it can be really powerful to be able to support people to do exercises like this. And I will do exercises like this in coaching sessions, particularly if a person is feeling, I teach people the same thing I've showed you so that they can learn to do that themselves. So any questions before I kind of scoot on? I want to make sure I cover some of the things that I prepared for you. Any questions?
You know, I have one, Cherise.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I'm curious. So when I'm called into an organization to do conflict coaching, I'm usually assigned to a mid-level, top-level manager who has a very low conflict resolution IQ. They're used to being managers, and it's kind of what they say. You do what I say. It's how I tell you to do it. And then they can't understand that when they go out and they're trying to, create partnerships with others in their community, why conflict arises. And so I do a lot more of structurally, the way it's set up is that there might be a specific issue that this top level manager, mid-level manager has between themselves and another employee or someone outside of the organization. And so we talk through, what that conflict is. I don't lead them to coming up with their solutions in terms of strategies, but I do listen. And so a lot of that coaching work is giving, being there to support them, but also allowing them the power to improve their conflict IQ by thinking through strategies themselves, as opposed to me saying, okay, here's what you should do.
Absolutely.
It's the same as in mediation, but it's just sort of a different take on it when I'm working with them in a coaching capacity. And I just wanted to know, is what you do, is that close to similar to what you do? I mean, I don't do the peace piece. We do have some time to do some mindfulness work.
Sure.
But I can see where it's all so interrelated.
Absolutely. So here's how I might answer your question. I think what you describe is wonderful. Let me switch into coaching a little bit. So coaching, formal coaching, where I work with you, Susan. You come to me and you go, I am looking to bring my work with churches and schools into a new area, and I'm not quite sure how to do that. And I also feel a little bit stuck in motivation and things like that. And so Susan could hire me as a coach to help her explore some of the barriers that she sees that are holding her back, but also helping her kind of create this vision for herself. And so to hire a coach, I'm really partnering with you to help you go where you want to go. And I become all about Team Susan. And as your coach, part of what I'm going to do is help you explore the bigger vision of your life, what that vision gives you and what it feels like. And as a result of that bigger vision that's rooted in something that's really meaningful and powerful, probably your values and your principles, help you explore goals. And so the coaching relationship in that formal way is still non-directive, at least how I practice, is non-directive, and it really is helping people maximize their resourcefulness, their resilience, their stepping into the amazing, whole, creative, resourceful person that they already are. And so that's coaching general. How I got to coaching was I wanted to help develop conflict coaching at my center. And so I actually took formal coaching training. So there are hundreds of coach training programs. The International Coaching Federation has all of the coaching programs that are accredited. And up until that period, I had been seeing myself as a mediator, primarily as a trainer, as a team building consultant, and as a facilitator. And so coaching naturally fit in that. But when I took that coaching training, my whole world changed. And matter of fact, I hope I never mediate again. I mean, that's how much I love coaching. I love mediation, but I love coaching more. So here's the thing about coaching. Coaching is a partnering with people. And so I think there's a role for us in community mediation to help people do a couple of things. We can call it conflict coaching. We can call it personal peace coaching, because that's all I'm doing. I'm helping people deal with the ways they get in their own way. I'm helping them name it bravely in a private, safe space that we co-create together. And I'm helping them tap into the vision that they have, either for their work-life relationship, or if they're trying to work on a particular conflict situation. And helping them go after that and design that. So there's a niche for us. Whatever your strengths and passions are, you can help people in a coaching scenario. You can support them. I could see any of you taking coaching, if you're interested in it, to do one-on-one work. Now, for me, the one-on-one work is really powerful because we need more people, right? Peace begins with you. We need more people who are in alignment with their values and what they care about. And when you help people talk about what matters to them versus what's wrong with them, or, when we help people focus on what matters to them, we have a more peaceful person. We have a person, who was it that said, I want to be less reactive, right? Don't we all? Right? It's not like I don't get reactive, and it's not like I don't lose my cookies. I just catch it quicker because I'm learning how to manage that. And so for a conflict coach, a peace coach, a coach that helps people deal with church conflict, as a licensed social worker who specializes in supporting vets to do X. So we need more people coaching around conflict, peace education, negotiation. And so I encourage you to explore it if you're very interested in that. Susie, you have a question?
I did. I had a quick one.
Yeah.
Can you tell me the difference between I don't want to say psychotherapy. Well, maybe I want to say psychotherapy and coaching. Is coaching more of a niche in that broader picture, or are you using the same principles on a different level?
So that's a common and a good question. And what I would say is that they are two distinct helping professions. And I would say that the line in coaching, crossing the line, I'm working with someone in the line of, would you be better served working with a therapist versus being in coaching is a line that I have to navigate. I think what we say in the field is that coaching helps people move forward and think forward, and we all get stuck in stuff, but we're still moving forward, and there's not issues that we're working out that require the specialization of a counselor, a therapist. And in the coaching relationship, when I do a contract with someone, that line is very clear in terms of the difference between therapy and coaching. And we navigate that together. Certainly, I have people who are in therapy that I work with. And when a person starts coaching, they are encouraged to talk with their therapist, for example, to make sure that their bases are covered. So I would say the short answer is the field of coaching sees itself as distinct from counseling, from therapy. But that line can be confusing for the general public to understand. But there is a difference.
So part of your training specifically in coaching is your training, meaning as you were training to be a coach, is making certain that you understand that you have a personal gauge. I understand it sounds like it's a little fluid, but
It
that you
is.
have a personal gauge as to, so would you say that coaching was looking forward and therapy was looking backwards?
Yes, that's the typical language you'll hear. Like I want to work on some,
Trauma.
some stuff from childhood. And in the coaching agreement, most coaches delineate the difference between coaching and therapy so that we can talk about that and navigate that together. But I would say it's moving forward, it's looking forward, and it does not to say that some stuff comes up. But we'd like to keep that because we're out of our wheelhouse, because counseling, therapy, those are, professions that have specific training, and we don't want, like we say in mediation, we don't want to be practicing law without a license. We don't want to be mucking around in people's, emotional area without the proper training. It's a great question. Renita, you had a question?
Yeah, I was just going to respond to Susan. Coaches tend to work with their clients for short periods of time, whereas therapists work with clients for extended periods of time. And as Cherise said, most coaches, the work we do is always looking forward, how we're going to help that person, whether in the moment or, in the future. Therapists really deal with the past and very deep-seated issues. Richard, they're sort of, they're deep-seated, and they're very, very, very deeply into their subconscious. We don't have the skill set for that. So in my opinion, I do think we're two very distinct career paths. Certainly there's some overlap in the skills we use, but I think it, really has to go back to that contract you have with your client. This is coaching. We're going to focus on what you need now and how to make you a success going forward. Anything that really needs to address any past issues, unresolved issues, then yes, you refer them to, if they don't already have it, refer them to, a therapist. It's the same when people come to mediation. You hear people say, oh, mediation is just like it's just like therapy. No, it's not. Mediation focuses on a specific problem or problems that are happening in your immediate present.
Yep, absolutely. So Any other questions? Those are great questions. Thank you, Susan. Any other questions? I'm hitting upon my time, so I want to keep this last part open for any questions that you have.
Well, I'm going to ask. So where'd you go get your coaching from? I'm always curious.
So my training is through Coactive Training Institute.
Okay.
And I really love the model because I'm the principles that shape that that coaching framework are really consistent with how I practice as a conflict practitioner. And so, you know, part of our principle as a coactive coach is that people are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. As a coach, everybody I work with, I'm helping coach the gap. I'm here, but I want to be over there. Right. And in that model, you know, we dance in the moment with them wherever they are. We design the alliance and how we're going to work together. We are working to deepen the learning and forward the action. And I forgot my fourth principle. Wait a minute, dance in the moment and focus on the whole person. I had to look at my principles. I work with people this way anyway, where I'm looking for strengths and I see their creativity and the place that they're in. If I'm helping them coach the gap, I want to help open that up for them. If you were to achieve this goal, what would it give you? Well, it would give me more money. Well, what would more money give you? More money would give me freedom. Well, what would freedom give you? Freedom would give me peace. What's peace like? Peace is like an easy flowing river, and I want to feel like that way. You know, I want to feel like that way. So really opening people up to the bigger vision and purpose of their life that is deeply fulfilling for them. And so I love the coactive framework for that. And that's the thing about the coaching. There's all kinds of coaching frameworks. And so if you're curious about that, most of those programs kind of give you a little teaser so you can understand, you know, their frameworks.
I had a quick question too. If I
Yes.
could. But I don't want to say when you were in our shoes, but before you started as a coach, what were some of the things that you struggled with, and have you been able to overcome those, or do you still struggle with some of those things?
So, struggle like in my work as a mediator, community.
Yeah, you know, like some of us said, you know, the balance, some of us the reactivity, some of us the liaison.
Well, I mean, you know, we're human, and so I think when we're in the service of other people, it can be easier to you know, not react to what's happening. But I think for practitioners in our field of conflict resolution, we really have to work on ourselves. So our own self-management. So if I'm reactive, who can support me to explore that? Renita can, because she's a coach and she can help you explore, you know, that side of you. And so what I would say, as I've been a practitioner and really did my own work to get at, you know, understanding my triggers, increasing my self-awareness, addressing my self-care needs, addressing mental health issues, you know, that I've struggled with, looking at areas where I've had failures and defeats and successes. And so really working on my own stuff has really helped me. What I would say is that, of course, I have conflict. Of course, I lose my cookies, but now I'm grounded in, if I lost my cookies here, that means a need's not met. or that means I feel like I'm being disrespected. And so it gives me, I have a greater self-awareness and I manage myself well. And that, Anna Marie, is a wonderful question. It's a lifelong journey. We get to practice all the time, right? I think there's no plateau, there's no kind of pedestal we reach in this work where we're not affected by conflict, our own stuff. I mean, I suppose that would be nice, right? I mean, I do like peace and harmony. I hate conflict. I mean, I'm still conflict avoidant after all these years. Can't we all just get along, right? Like, let's hug it out. But I really had to work on me. And so it's not a perfection event. And I think we start with that self-awareness of, okay, I just reacted. What's going on with me? And I always say, in the recovery field, they have their acronym HALT, never let yourself get hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. There's no good that comes from that. Even if you started there, hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, never let yourself get hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. We're not our best selves. We are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, resilient people. We were born that way. Don't let anybody tell you any lie to the effect. And so that's my long answer to you, Anna Marie, is you're asking the question, you're on your journey, and you keep working at it.
I agree, Anna Marie. It is really learning and growing with each mediated session, with each conflict, with each set of, disputing parties that you have, and also giving yourself the grace and the space that after that session, you do what Cherise started us with doing, is kind of regrounding ourselves so that we can continue to be the best version of ourselves the next time we have to do it.
Absolutely. And I know, Sydney, you have a question. Reflective practice, it's critical in our field. Michael Lang, my mentor, actually has written the most in our field on reflective practice. The Making of a Mediator is a good book to check out. And then he has a second book on reflective practice, but we're always looking at what we're doing and why, and what purpose and what values we're grounded in. And we can do that for ourselves as well, our own reflective practice.
What was his name again, really quick?
Michael Lang. I'll put it in the chat. So Sid, you had a question or comment?
I have
Yeah.
a comment.
Oh, no, you go first.
No, you first, Sydney, you first.
Okay, thank you. Well, my first question was going to be asking for any book recommendations, but you've hit a couple, so I'll skip that one if you think of any more.
Yeah, and I will, well, I was gonna grab this book here. This is a bit self-serving, actually, but in terms of some of this is Beyond Equity, Inclusion, and Conflict Resolution. I think this is written by practitioners who are thinking about how we really do all the work that you guys are talking about, community building, helping church conflicts, facilitating dialogue over really deep, hard, polarizing things. And I think it's a really good book because it's contemporary and it's really hitting those issues. So I do recommend that. And what I'll do, Renita, is I'll put together a couple things that have been really helpful to me and send that to you so you can share with people. And you all are always welcome. I know we're kind of at our time. You're always welcome to reach out to me with any questions that you have as a follow-up to this conversation. And I put my email in the in the chat. And then Date Mediation Center, if you just Google, if you want more information on kind of what we're doing there in community mediation. I think these are ongoing conversations, and I'm certainly happy to stay in community with all of you. You've got a wonderful guy in Renita, so I bow down to her because my involvement with her on the NAFCM board just really was transformative. So you're in good hands, and I think the circle of community around all of us is so important to help you on your journey. And so I'm mindful of the time, and I want to end here and just thank you for your engagement and your participation. And I wish you the best, and don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything from me at all.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Cherise.
You're
Thank
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm gonna put that title in the Beyond Equity, Inclusion, and Conflict Resolution. Equity and Inclusion and Conflict Resolution. So there's the title of that book, and I'll think about some other titles for you.
Okay, thank you, Cherise.
Okay, you're welcome. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Let's record.